All right. It is 1 p.m. on Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, when I had arranged grievances with Jeff. No one else is here. The doors are open, but no one else came. As to be expected. I've had about a handful of these events over the last 3 years where people can just come in and criticize, a session made for a discussion around any criticisms people have of me or the township or what have you, whatever they want to debate or talk about. Not a ton of participation necessarily directly. We've had a few people come. We've had more in the past of people message me online about certain things. I think I did an hour and a half one time on everyone's comments. Some serious and legitimate, some trolling. I'll address them all. On this one in particular, there were no comments directly on the post, but there are a few things circulating in the township that I can address as well. Because as I was arranging this thing, the date came out fairly close here in December, to December 23rd, which is a joke on the show Seinfeld called Festivus, the holiday for the rest of us. And they have a few little odd things. It's a holiday designed against commercialism of gifts, I guess. I haven't researched it a ton, right? But so it's an interesting episode in Seinfeld, as all of the Seinfeld episodes are. And two things I picked out. One, there's an airing of grievances, which goes perfectly with anyone wanting to complain about anything with the township. And so I called this Grievances with Jeff based on that, set it up on the same day. Why not? Another thing is feats of strength. And so I used to do a little more metal bending, not a ton, right? Was never super strong in that way. And after getting sick in Africa and having all the spinal deformity complications and whatnot, my strength has gone down, but I've recovered a ton of health over the last handful of years. And so I'm going to bend a few pieces of metal since no one else is here. I think I'll zoom in. And then I'll cover probably two things that I've been hearing about recently as far as the actual grievances go. And you can see it a little better that way. All right, so this is a carriage bolt, just your basic carriage bolt. So it's a lower grade of steel. It's 8 inches. It is threaded, and these are these are enough that I don't need these little hand wraps. These hand wraps are so that stuff doesn't cut in your hands, and I'll use those on pole bar nails. Otherwise, that could get a little a little uncomfortable. So let's see. All right. One carriage bolt. Same one, about 4 at the time. 2 have been bent so far, so might as well finish them off. I don't have anything else to do with the carriage bolts. Second carriage bolt. I have 2 different kinds of pole bar nails, and then I have one other carriage bolt. And this is a 6-inch carriage bolt. This is grade 5 steel. And so we will not be bending this today. It's quite strong. And if other people had come in, I have a bunch of other nails in the other room, and I mean, some of these, you could just, some people, if they're decently strong, you could just bend them without practicing. So, if you try really hard, a lot of people can't, but so this is a one type of pole bar nail. It's a little springier steel, so it resists a little bit. And enough that if I didn't have the wraps on my hands and the length that those are, they would certainly cut into my palms. So there's one right now, and this, which is a little thicker, slightly twisted steel. It's also a pole bar nail, different type of pole bar nail. figured this way, I could be physically worn down, and then people could wear me down with their arguments too. But there's another pole barn now. No. Feats of strength haven't been completed for Festivus. Next up is airing of grievances, and so it was a joke that should be my airing of grievances about people, but we'll still do it the other way. So first one was the audit, and so odd comments, as there always are on Facebook, since essentially social media is designed for crazy people, and it does well at that specific function in society, right? Bringing out the crazy, or revealing it, I guess. And so there was a comment about that I hide the audit inside of putting it in the reference packet. So this is a stupid comment. So I don't have to release reference packets at all. I put extra information in there so that it is public. I've put thousands of pages of documents, hundreds of documents. I think we're up over 1,000 documents uploaded on Unicode now. Yeah, we're over 1,000. I'm just doing some before this meeting too, so we have to be a little ways over 1,000. And I have all the Word packets for quite a long time, except for the Barnes years. I haven't been able to find those. I'm still working on those. We have meeting minutes going a long ways back, resolutions, all sorts of stuff. And so I put all that stuff up there, and there's county studies that I can get that other people really can't get about broadband and housing and road assessments. And so I get those as well. Sometimes it takes me a while, and I have to request those to get those, and then purposely put them online so other people can see it. I was just showing someone yesterday about some of the housing study that the county had done and that type of thing. So in the reference packets are part of that. I specifically put out the information, including all these videos, so that people can see it. So there's a weird thing in human psychology about reversing the truth. And it happens a lot. It's most noticeable in this job in my entire life. In that people will say exactly the opposite of the truth. It's not. It's a weird thing. They just take the truth, flip it on its head, and just go the other way. And that's an extremely common thing in politics, at least. I don't know why people think that in politics you should lie or something like that, for sure. So very distorting for people. So I specifically put the information in there, so it's in there. So the audit is uploaded on the website. You can look at it if you want. I also included it in a reference packet, which is also on the website. You can look at it if you want. Then the actual substance of the comment was about the quality of the audit, not the quality of the auditors, the quality of the township being audited. And so there's two different aspects to this. They mentioned that the audit was bad. And how they were mentioning what the audit was bad eventually, right, when they got into why they thought so, because at first it was just a bland general comment, didn't really mean anything. It was about the township getting things in late to the auditor. So, and that is 100% true. I pushed on that a decent amount, probably should have pushed on it harder. So the things were late into the auditor, which is why the auditor's presentation here was also later than normal, right, by a couple of months. And so that is correct. The actual position of the finances themselves and money of the township is good. So good and bad to that. If anyone feels like they need better access to the audit, I will print one for you and hand deliver it to your house if you would like. Next, just message me, right? Supervisor at DaltonTownship.org, direct line area code 231-332-6700. Next, we have the Christmas tree. So I didn't see any of these comments. I heard there were hundreds of comments, though, debate on one of the Facebook groups online. Sounded like a lot of misinformation, a lot of people lying about different stuff, which is to be expected, all right? And so the Christmas tree on M120 will be replaced right near the welcome sign. And that tree is dying with fungal infection. The maintenance supervisor, Nate, had told me quite a while ago, probably sometime in the spring, maybe, Then he thought the tree wasn't in great shape, and maybe do we want to replace it with some sort of pole like other places use and stuff like that? We want to look at our options. And I was like, people are going to be super upset over the tree. Just leave it. I don't want to mess with it. Like, just leave it there. And so when it came up from a couple other people and whatnot over time, so I was like, all right, let's get some assessments on it. 2 arborists check it out, and they both said it has a fungal infection and doesn't have super long left to live. You can treat it, but the treatments may or may not work. You know, they're in the 4 figures, like $1,200 for a year of treatments, but that type of tree probably isn't going to survive that type of water. Right here with the amount of humidity and stuff in there, the fungal infection has a good possibility of coming back. It should probably be replaced with a different type of tree. So we brought that to the board over a series of months for discussion and then voting. And so the vote was to replace the tree. I had communicated, I reached out, I wasn't sure if it was connected with anyone, you know, there's no type of plaque around the tree or anything like that. And so I eventually, through the grapevine, found that it was connected with a guy over by the lake who had planted it 28 years ago. A number of people had tried to plant a tree. The tree had died multiple times. They theorized because of the salt that coming off of M120, not exactly sure, right? But it had been arranged by this family and taken care of by this family for quite a long time. And then they stopped, right? So they stopped taking care of it. And that was basically it, right? and so they still wanted to see the tree continue, the real tree continue. And I had essentially pen pal back and forth. The guy doesn't seem to want to talk to me on the phone, and he doesn't seem to want to talk to me in person. Very hard to communicate with. He's come to a couple of board meetings, but it was scoots out of here really fast after the meeting, came to the board meeting, after it started and whatnot too. So super difficult to communicate with. But he is supposed to be arranging some guy that he knows that did some trees up by the mall to replace it this coming year. And he was at the meeting where there was the vote for the replacement. I told him, make sure you take my card right in the meeting and, get a hold of that guy, have him get a hold of me. I haven't had any communication on that, so I can't tell how real it is, how much we can rely on it. So I've also told Nate to prepare just in case other people aren't going to come through on the tree thing. We need to be prepared to also replace the tree, right? So if some guy that knows some guy that I don't know, that I've never heard from, doesn't come through and replacing the tree, we need to be prepared for that to not actually happen and for us to do it. So, and then I heard there were comments about the trees being cut down so that there's better visibility of the welcome sign. This is not true. I don't care that the tree blocks the view of the welcome sign a little bit, completely irrelevant to me. And that wasn't part of the discussion with the board and the vote at all. It has nothing to do with it. And it made sense for the tree to go back in the same spot. Otherwise, you have to organize with the state MDOT along M120 and the railroads. And it's close to both those things, but if you stay back in the same spot, you have a pretty good foundation for keeping it there as well. So I think that makes the most sense to do on that specific issue. And from what I've heard on the grapevine, there's always these unimportant things that people care about, not the important things. But that gets everyone riled up. You get hundreds of comments. I told everyone in the office, I was like, I was completely expecting this. Like, it'll be okay. People will be super upset over anything. Really doesn't matter. And then when the tree actually gets cut down and replaced, people will be super upset again. It's like an entertainment factor, essentially. It's how we treat American politics. It's why we pay attention at the high levels and kind of ignore the low levels, except for these smaller types of issues usually. And so there'll just be this coming about. But I heard through the grapevine, there's some sort of fight inside of that family as well that originally planned and take care of that thing. And so there's miscommunication happening there between, or non-communication maybe, between family members. And so I had a letter from the father and a letter from the son, and I had included, I think that said almost the exact same thing. I can't remember the exact timing. I included at least one of the letters in the board packet, and it just kind of gave that little bit of the history of the tree and things. So I think to a certain extent, maybe a single individual family has pulled some of their family feud, and pulled the rest of the township over this Christmas tree into their little family feud, and are trying to, kind of do it through the township, which is common, right? We see that between neighbors and stuff about ordinances all the time. So that's essentially what the situation is. Jelinek was really nice. We bought the lights, and they used their equipment to put them up on the tree, so it looks nice this year. Otherwise, the last 2 years, it was just me out there, and there were already lights on the tree. It's been taken care of, from what I've heard, by different people over the years, putting up the lights and these types of things. So there are already lights up there. And so, the one year I had to climb, because the different connections on different spots on the tree were kind of hodgepodge. You can see there were like old big bulbs and small ones, and these different strings put up at these different times. And an extension cord out there with like a splitter, and I climbed halfway up the tree to get the one part plugged in, but it wasn't like well lit, so it didn't look great. And so it looks much better this year with the nice new lights and getting those put up. So that's definitely a good thing. And there's always a bunch of other stuff happening. I try to bring a lot of stuff to the board, obviously release a lot of documents. The meetings are on video if anyone wants to watch them. So if anyone has anything else, right, you can come to me with grievances all the time. It's not just at a grievance meeting. Feel free to reach out. My email, you can email me multiple ways. I think the easiest way to remember is supervisor@daltontownship.org, but you can email me jeffrey.martin@daltontownship.org too. Comes to the same place, or call me direct on my phone here. It's area code 231-332-6700. So feel free to reach out about anything. If I kind of lost the only person that was willing to come debate me on stuff in a meeting like this, which I think is good. The American public is just so disconnected. Other than for the entertainment value from our politics and from being engaged in like civil discourse and whatnot. We seem to have attempted to replace that with social media, which obviously doesn't work, and either reveals the insanity of people, probably reveals the insanity of people, and then drives them more insane as well. So it's a double whammy in a bad direction. So I thought initially, some of these meetings would be quite engaging, and people would do them, and obviously I was very wrong. People don't want to debate about any of that stuff or particularly care. So, but if anyone would like to, definitely open to it. I have 11 months left in office, so we have that period of time to go over anything that anyone would want. So several things will be accomplished over those next 11 months. And then hopefully we have a number of candidates that run for supervisor. I think just from chatter, from hearing through the grapevine, I think we might end up with like a handful of people vying for the spot, which I think is good. I think you should have options on those types of elections to the extent you can. And handful, it's better than having one option for sure, but even better than two. To have some viability, some competition in the primaries and in the general election. I think it's good. So I think that'll be there, and then hopefully, decently smooth transition into the new administration. So those are the plans. Lot to do before then. Obviously, I'm going to try to get, if I can find the rest of the meeting packets, I'm going to try to get those digitized, and then digitization will not be even near complete by the time I leave, but that will be a solid start of thousands of documents, both internal and external, so available for people to see. So good stuff. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see what this coming week. We're closed on Monday and Tuesday, but we're open on Wednesday and Thursday, and so people are able to come in and do any business they need there. Otherwise, see you after the holidays. Until next time, this is Jeff signing off.